What's going on, YouTube? It's Sensei, place to be chilling, Mr. A&E. Better give you guys another Monday Night Raw review for June 2nd, 2020. And just like I addressed it in all my other wrestling reviews, just in case you haven't seen them, that the Nerd Coalition took a break this weekend from all the unrest and all the stress that's been going on in the world. And obviously, our former protest for the murder of George Floyd. And we did a Blackout Tuesday yesterday where we put up no content. We didn't put up no content for the weekend. No Give Me See the Wrestling podcast or no Nerdgasm Talk podcast. But they will be returning this weekend, especially when we have the In Your House for NXT coming up. And then I'll get, that's why you guys are getting the Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW Dynamite today. And then all videos will resume this week with reactions and gameplay stuff all throughout the weekend. So I just want to make sure I touch bases with you guys on that, where we stand on what we're doing. So Monday Night Raw starts off with Seth Rollins and his disciples, Murphy and God, I didn't forget his name that quick, did I? Austin Theory. Man, I'm about to get mad at myself for forgetting Austin Theory. I used to watch Austin Theory live. He comes out and says, Rey Mysterio's supposed to come out retired tonight. That's the retirement ceremony he's supposed to have. He said, but I have a feeling that Rey Mysterio's not going to do that. But I do applaud Rey Mysterio because he is one of the greatest. He is the greatest luchador of all time. Whereas Michael Cole says, the greatest masked wrestler to ever live. Stuff like that. He said he is a legend and an icon in this business. And since he's not going to have the heart to come out of retirement, he put a little retirement package together for him. So you see all the highlights from Rey Mysterio's career from when he first came to WWE and then all the way up until what's going on now. They didn't put, unless I missed it, I don't think they put too much WCW stuff in there either. But still, Rey Mysterio been wrestling for a long time. And Seth Rollins, at the end, put a clip in there of him jabbing his eye into the steel steps. So what it looks like here is that we're obviously getting a rivalry. It looks like we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam, because that's the next big event that they want to do. So I think SummerSlam is going to be where we get Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. But we may get another match at Backlash, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But we're not done with Seth Rollins yet, as he has a match against Aleister Black. Let me tell you something. They gave these guys about 20 or 30 plus minutes. Great matchup by these two. Murphy and Austin Theory are on the outside. So as Aleister Black is about to go for the Black Mass, Murphy and Theory jump up on the ring apron, but then here comes Humberto Carrillo to knock them off. And then Seth Rollins tries to go for the stomp. He misses, gets rolled up by Aleister Black, and Aleister Black gets the win over Seth Rollins. So then after the matchup, strength in numbers, they start beating up Humberto Carrillo and then beating up Aleister Black, and then they hold Murphy and Theory hold Aleister Black as so he can make Aleister Black watch Humberto get stomped. Aleister Black was pleading for him just to stomp him instead of stomp him. It said stop Carrillo, so he stomps Carrillo anyway, and then he stomps Aleister Black, and that's how it ends. So good opening segment from Raw. I like the stuff with Rollins and Black. The match is so good, but I mean it was kind of obviously a shitty finish, but still, like the match is really good though. Backstage, Lana is trying to confront MVP about taking her Bobby away. Like, we're still doing this, and MVP says, I ain't got time for all this kind of stuff. What you doing? But then Lana says, well, you kind of wash up like your career, and he says, well, that's not even remotely true, but if you just saying it is, that makes two of us. And then she slaps MVP. Apollo Crews is coming out, and Apollo Crews is very grateful for winning the United States Championship as he's in the ring getting interviewed by, was it Caleb Braxton, I believe it is. And then he says, the first person I want to give an opportunity to the championship is Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens comes out. Kevin Owens says, I want to thank you for the opportunity and everything, Apollo, but it kind of feels like, this is for pity. And he says, well, for pity? No, you earned this shot. And then he said, because you kind of, feel like you're pitying me from what happened last week. He says, no, this is not pity. It's just, legit one-on-one. So we have the one-on-one between Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens. The exchange that they had was really good. They got some really good chemistry going on. I would like to see a full Apollo Crews versus Kevin Owens matchup. And the reason why I say a full Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens matchup is because this match was interrupted by Angel Garza and Andrade. So they come out, they start attacking Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens, and then so now we get an impromptu tag team match player where Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens takes on Andrade and Angel Garza. Matches still pretty good. Angel Garza takes out Kevin Owens' leg outside, but then Kevin Owens keeps him occupied while Apollo Crews hits the spin out powerbomb on Andrade and pins Andrade for it was a third straight time or second straight time. So Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens win. So this looks like at Backlash we'll get the Apollo Crews taking on Kevin Owens for United States Championship matchup. It's not confirmed yet. This is my speculation since it is coming June 14th. So they got another week to build this. But for what I've seen already between Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens, I would like to see the match again in full form. Throughout the night, so now we have done basketball, we have done axe throwing, but now what is it going to be for the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders? It looks like bowling, something that like it could be a little bit even ground. So throughout the night, I'm going to lump them all up in here. There's different segments throughout the night. At first, both of them were the Viking Raiders was doing the bowl really good, and then the Street Profits wasn't. But then afterwards, they said, you know what? We want the smoking, and if anybody's been to a bowl now, at nighttime when they did a little party, then they had the disco lamp come down, gets all dark, they got the smoke machine going, so they had that, and next thing you know, they were bowling, and they came back. It was 130 to 127, and for my family, I've had a couple of professional bowlers in my family. 130 is a low score for somebody like that, but I was like, but for me, 130 is great, okay, because I'm not a professional bowler at all, but that was so they had that. He said we're done with this. So Hanson takes off his shirt. You see a bowling ball, and then Ivar literally throws him down the lane to get himself a strike. So that's what happens with the segment. Oh, there was a part where Hanson got hungry and went into the fridge to get some food, some turkey legs, because the bowling alley just has big turkey legs just sitting back there. Just saying. And once again, they did the whole Hanson's cute type thing. So obviously we had enough segments here. So the question is, when are they going to go one-on-one for the tag team championships? When are they going to do what they do best in the wrestling business? So it looks like maybe another Backlash matchup. The Street Profits taking on the Viking Raiders for the Raw Tag Team Championships. That's what it should be, but there's still no announcement of that just yet neither. So we're back with the Iconics, and the Iconics, we got a singles action of Billy Kay taking on Nikki Cross. The match here was really short here. Billy Kay hits Nikki Cross with like a sky high thing after she misses a crossbody off the top rope, and the Iconics win, so that gives them a little bit of leverage going into whenever they get their tag team title shot against Bliss and Cross. I'm not a big fan of Bliss and Cross. I was a big fan of him before, during, or after. I'm just not that, I'm just not a fan of theirs. But, hey, whatever floats the boat, I'm guessing. But that's just not the team I want to. So I do want them to put the tag team titles on another team, a team that feels more, in my opinion, legit, in my opinion. So, we get two segments. So I'm going to do the segment first. We get Shawn Michaels, who's going to predict the greatest wrestling match ever. Now, first of all, Shawn Michaels predicting the greatest wrestling match between Edge and Randy Orton just sounds ludicrous. Because if you talk about greatest wrestling matches, Shawn Michaels has the nomination for about 5 of them. And he mentions that. And he just says, so, Edge, Randy Orton, you have the pressure on your shoulders to be delivered what they call as the greatest wrestling match. He said, I gotta tell you something. I'm glad I'm not you, or I don't want to be you. And I agree with him on that one. And he says, now look, when I hear greatest wrestling matches, I mean, there's some that, I think of the ladder match I had Razor Ramon. I think about the Iron Man match with Bret Hart. I think about, the Ric Flair match or the 2 matches I had with The Undertaker. He said, okay, look, if we go over, the one with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21, he said, if I go down a list of my greatest matches ever, we'll be here all day, which we will. So, Shawn said that he's going to go with Edge to beat Randy Orton, and that he said, with just, he going with the veteran, somebody who's been in the business longer, and with just a little faith, it's going to be Edge. I have no problem. Look, I like Edge as a wrestler. I've been a fan of Edge for a certain time. I'm a huge fan of Randy Orton. Randy Orton is in my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. He is. However, when it comes to Edge and Randy Orton, every time they worked as a tag team, I like Rated RKO. But when they came blows in matches, it's like when you got two very good wrestlers. In my opinion, I think Randy Orton's a better wrestler than Edge. But when you got two excellent wrestlers going together, but they just can't have that match, that's what Randy Orton and Edge is. And I'm like, why would they put this pressure? Obviously, they know it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever when you got somebody like Shawn Michaels in your company. But they're putting the pressure on them. And I'm like, will it be a good match? Yes. But will it be a great match? Probably not. Really, because Edge, once again, got knocked that ring rust off, and I'm pretty sure he's been working and running the ropes and all that stuff like that. But it's still kind of different. So that right there, it kind of bothers me with this greatest wrestling match ever type thing. They put the pressure on these guys to deliver, especially when you have an arena full of nobody. It's really there. They put the NXT people in there with the plexiglass, but they sound so forced and generic. They don't sound natural because, once again, with this crowd, the AEW crowd sounds natural because there's no limits to them. Do you think that Vince McMahon is going to want somebody, like, obviously you're supposed to boo Seth Rollins, right? If somebody's a fan, naturally are going to be fans of Seth Rollins, and they're going to scream and chant for Seth Rollins. But if Vince don't want you to cheer for them or boo that person, then he's not going to want you to do that. So everything is scripted, even in fan reaction, and it sounds like it. Where if Big Swole want to get in everybody's face when she outside, or all the other wrestlers, or MJF and Shawn want to make bets on the different matches, fine, they have their opinion. Vince doesn't understand that, and I'm just like, it sounds. I'd rather go back to the choir, to be honest with you. They're trying something, but I think if you're not letting the NXT people be themselves, or let them cheer who they want to cheer and boo who they want to boo, or be disinterested, then you're making your show worse. We have Nia Jax. Okay, so the second segment I was talking about is Rey Mysterio comes up on the screen. Rey Mysterio talks about how Seth Rollins, screw Seth Rollins. I thought you talk about you're a man. He's not a messiah. He said, he tried to take away my career, and he said he tried to act like he saved me. And then he said, no, I'm a man of forgiveness. I really am. But you know what I'm saying? Screw you, Seth Rollins, what you did to my family. And then all of a sudden, here comes Dominic and says what my father's trying to say is basically, all the pain you caused to my family, things like that. Dominic, God bless him, is a terrible actor. Terrible. And you would think with Rey Mysterio being there, like, he would teach us a couple things. And I'm like, either Dominic is clearly reading off a teleprompter, or Dominic just has no emotion whatsoever. Like, I'm seriously thinking, like, yo, bruh, Dominic's acting is atrocious. It really is. And when I say atrocious, I mean it's noticeable. So that's one of the problems. But as Rey Mysterio leaves the screen, he says, Seth, you're a man of scripture, an eye for an eye. So when I said earlier that Seth Rollins goes against Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam, I truly think at Backlash we get Seth Rollins taking on Dominic in Dominic's first matchup. A lot of pressure to put on the kid, but then I see that Seth Rollins tries to injure Dominic, and then Rey Mysterio's like, no, we ain't doing that, son, and that's when that happens. Nia Jax takes on Kairi Sane, and then the only noteworthy thing about this match is that she injured her again, and people backstage are giving Nia Jax some heat. Nia Jax is, when it comes to dangerous, I think she injures a lot of people. And I'm like, she's very sloppy. I think she needs to tone up a lot. And when I say tone up, I don't mean the body and getting, losing weight. I'm talking about tone up her moves and stuff like that. She's very sloppy, so that people can get hurt. And Kairi Sane got hurt, which I tossed her to the steel steps in the matchup, and she lost the match. Asuka came down and stared down Nia Jax and didn't like how she treated, her partner Kairi Sane. Randy Orton is backstage with a promo. He says, really, we've been quarantined, so I've been home a lot. I watched the Undertaker special. I watched some ride-along, stuff like that. And one thing these superstars got in common is just saying that Ric Flair's the greatest to ever do it. And that is a damn good point. You can argue it, but it's a damn good point. One match I didn't get a chance to see, like in their primes, like Kurt Angle versus Ric Flair, would have loved it. But he says, but you know what happened when I seen the Nature Boy the other day? He told me that I was the one, that was the best to lace up a pair of boots. That's funny because he definitely said, Hogan, Austin, Rock and Taker, are the ones, saying so. But whatever. I mean, Ric Flair things changes as the weather changes outside in these days. So he says, even when I half-assed it or phoned it in for all these years, I still was better than anybody else here, which Edge did say. And he says, everybody came in here and tried to be all motivated and try to be the next this. All I had to do was lace up my pair of boots and be Randy Orton. And that's one of the reasons why I like Randy Orton so basic. So he put some heat on it for this matchup in his promo. I liked it. We get Charlotte versus Asuka in the next matchup because we haven't seen that enough. But we get Charlotte versus Asuka, and the matchup is really, really good. It goes down to the limit. As Charlotte tries to go for figure eight, it doesn't really work. And then he knocks Asuka to the outside, hits her with a big... Asuka has her in the arm bar. She picks her up by one arm and power bombs her. Very impressive stuff. Then Asuka gets knocked over the ropes, get a big boot, and then we hear her music play, and then we see Nia Jax come out in one of Asuka's masks and her green mist paint, and then Asuka's not paying attention. She gets count out the match, so Charlotte wins by count out as Nia Jax clotheslines Asuka and stands over her. So that's probably the match we're getting for Backlash. Main event time, Drew McIntyre taking on MVP with Bobby Lashley on the side. Now, once again, Lana said that Bobby didn't want me in his corner, but he ain't saying nothing about MVP's corner. So Lana brings herself out there, and then Bobby comes out there also to support MVP. The matchup is what you want to... First of all, I found out that MVP is no longer producer backstage. He's back being full-time. I'm a fan of MVP. MVP is very underrated. He's a great wrestler, good mouthpiece. Like I say, he is still at this age, he can still go. But he's there clearly to put guys over. I have no problem with that. So he's there to put Drew McIntyre over. So MVP hits his playmaker boot, which is the haluva kick. He did it first, and Sami Zayn came in, and then Drew McIntyre got the thing kicking out at one, so no sold that one. And then he beats him up some more, but then he gives him a Claymore kick, and then wins the matchup at the end. Bobby Lashley puts him in the full Nelson, and that's how we end Monday Night Raw. Now, one thing I did forget, R-Truth won back his 24/7 championship by pinning Rob Gronkowski at the Buccaneers training camp. So that didn't happen. But that's how Raw ends. So Raw was alright. There were things I liked. The Rey Mysterio stuff, I liked until Dominic started talking. I was cool with the Apollo Crews Kevin Owens match and the Seth Rollins and Aleister Black match. I like MVP being back as a full-time employee, basically, or no employees, but full-time wrestler, and the Randy Orton stuff. So Raw gets a slight pass for me this week. I'm not gonna say it was the most horrible show. It wasn't the best show neither. It gets a slight pass for me this week. But you post down in the comments down below how you guys feel about Monday Night Raw. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed my review. Hit the subscribe button for more WWE content right here on Nerd Coalition. Once again, this is NCN Place to Be. Children saying and Nerd Coalition is out.